welcome back to another Real Housewives of Potomac episode review. So I'm gonna jump right into this because this episode was kind of an emotional roller coaster for me. I was slightly confused. Let me take my earbud out. I was slightly confused at one point, and then I kind of thought I understood what was going on, but the emotions of this episode were all over the place. So let's just start with, of course, we are getting ready to walk into phase 2 of the whole Wendy has no substance. So let's just keep that in the back of our mind. But the first thing that I wanted to bring out, Gizelle makes it very difficult for people to like her. And I say that because, you know, she's one of those people who, it's like all of her efforts, all of her energy, they always equate to some petty undertone. So when they were at breakfast and she was like, oh, Robin, I need to see you for a quick business meeting, that looked real shady because you and Robin are always having sidebar discussions about other people. So at this point it kind of looks like y'all are continuing to be petty, which leaves a sour taste in a lot of people's mouth, but whatever. Now, I will say, as a friend, I respect the discussion that she had with Robin. Like, Robin does appear to be in a funk, and we saw that on a previous episode, that she can't really get out of bed. She can't really get the energy to do much of anything. She's in a funk. Of course, you know, we saw the previews, and in this particular episode, she's drinking. And to me, it's like an intentional effort to be drunk. She's very weird. Her husband's telling her, look, this isn't attractive. It makes me think, is your business still doing well? Because your effort tells me that you're not putting what you need to necessarily put into it, which could then unfortunately translate into, you know, lack of success for your business as well. Now, what was interesting is the truthfulness about her not necessarily seeing what other people see in her. And I guess that's something that sometimes I can relate to. Now, it would never be to the point where I don't see myself as strong and capable. Those are two things that I definitely see in myself. But I think she said something you know, she doesn't see herself as a mogul. I mean, I don't either. I don't see you as a mogul either, sis. But, you know, you can be a successful businesswoman, maybe. And then the fact that she has left, business deals on the table with major retailers, to me, that's stupid and dumb. So some of this is almost so do you think that you're that serious that you can't accept those things? Because really, that's your foot in the door for your brand to grow some more. And I agree with Gizelle. You know, at this point, you should be building your brand. You should have other people packaging, mailing, and doing all that other stuff, inventory and stuff like that. And that could very well be what it is. Perhaps she's overwhelmed. Perhaps she's burnt out. And perhaps she needs a balance between running this business and operating this business. And maybe it's even the same thing in her family life as well, running this family or operating this family. She could just very well be overwhelmed. I don't know. I thought it was pretty weird myself that was her experience. But when she said that she was scared of failure, I think her behavior doesn't necessarily reflect that. And I'm not saying that she's not afraid of failure, but most often when people are afraid of failure, they work extra hard to be successful. Because I'm one of those people. I'm completely horrified of failure, but I work extra hard in order to ensure that I do not fail. So the overachiever in me and the control freak in me works overtime, double time, to be sure that I don't fail. So, I mean, I don't want to argue or debate whether she feels that way, but I just don't think she understands how that communicates. But that's neither here nor there. Whatever. Robin ain't really a focal point for me like that. And then when Robin and Gizelle went upstairs and Candace said, oh, you know, I just realized that Gizelle just doesn't have any coof. And that was around, I guess, Wendy just kind of calling it out and saying, I guess Gizelle must have approached, what's her name? Candace, like that in the past. I mean, I thought we all knew that Gizelle had no coof. Gizelle continues to say whatever she wants. She is like a necessary evil on the show because she continues to stir the pot. She continues to make drama relevant every episode, and I literally feel like she thinks that she has some level of superiority to where she has the ability to just be that way all the time. And nobody's going to check her for it. And what concerns me about her is that she thinks it's okay for her to do that, but when someone wants to question her drama or her tea, then that's when you start to notice her like kind of backing away from it and not really like wanting to feed into it. No, this is a two-way street, boo. You do it to other people, they'll do it to you. All right, so we all know that Karen doesn't like Gizelle. So I do feel like Karen was running out when they were at the pool. She was like, oh yeah, she just went off on everybody. Karen. I don't know if that's really what happened. And actually, she started to make me feel like, did I watch that episode? And maybe like she's talking about clips that we didn't see. But I just feel like as soon as Ashley gets there, Karen jumps into this blah, 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 blah gossip about Wendy and Gizelle and all that stuff. I felt like that conversation was very uncomfortable to watch. I had a hard time watching that. It wasn't comfortable because I just kind of felt like y'all can't hear her saying this, because I felt like she was super loud. And then on top of that, like, y'all are just too comfortable discussing each other, and I don't like that personally. Like, that annoys me. Now, the one thing that I think I struggle with Ashley is that she said that she feels like Wendy is going through something emotionally. I mean, she did speak about like not necessarily being happy with her body after having those kids or whatever, and I would think it's something that Ashley could relate to, you know, just recently having a kid, and then probably like a year or less ago had a kid. Then I'm sure that she had like some little inklings with her body that she didn't necessarily care for. I just feel like Wendy may have been dealing with that longer, considering she has older children, and she probably just felt like it was, I don't know, I feel like they're putting too much energy on this. And so when Wendy and Ashley sat down, my initial thoughts, oh, this might be really good. You know, they have the commonality of people coming after your marriage, rumors about your marriage, people having things to say, their comments, questions, and concerns, blah, blah, blah. This might work well. You know what I mean? But the problem came in where Wendy associates Ashley's behavior with Gizelle somehow. And I think that's where a lot of the defensiveness comes from Wendy, because I feel like Gizelle is a sore spot for Wendy, and so I feel like that's why Ashley, really, I'll be honest with you, I feel like if Ashley would have said, I saw the blogs, and she spoke from her own person, if she didn't bring Gizelle into that, I think that Wendy would have responded differently. But I want to go back and talk about their discussion when they were at lunch. And so, you know, Wendy admits, yes, Gizelle saying that I lack substance, that really hurt me. Yes, I did cry about it. But there was the deeper issue that we finally got to the bottom of. She felt like she was being body shamed, which is something that she's experienced in the past, which makes perfect sense for why she was so pissed off about that. Or whatever. And so if this is something that has happened previously and we don't know the consistency of it, it might have been something that she struggled with since she was a little girl, for all we know. And I mean, I think we all would agree that the whole lacking substance is where this whole thing got very difficult. Like, I'm sorry, sis, you said I lack substance because I'm wearing revealing clothes. I now lack substance. So pretty much you're saying the way that I dress after getting plastic surgery now defames who I am, diminishes who I am, deducts my value. I don't like anything about that, and you wouldn't like it if somebody said it to you either. Now, I'm glad that Wendy also cleared up that, listen, had you come to me and had this discussion on the side, I feel like I would have been a lot more open to it. But I feel like you decided to bring this out to the forefront in front of everybody, and it felt like I was being attacked. And like, this episode kind of magnified the fact that like it was almost like an attack, because I feel like Robin jumped into it, Ashley got something to say about it, and I don't think they realized, like, if that's already something sensitive for someone and now she's getting it from all these people at the same time, yeah, defense is all she really knows. That's her only source of protection, and she's gonna do what she has to. So if you see her lashing out at you, if you see her being pretty aggressive, then you gotta kind of understand why y'all backing her into a corner. Her only way out is to swing, logically. I also think they're forgetting that, like, they're trying to dress it up now and say, oh, you know, this is just us, like, observing what's going on, and we want to make sure that you're okay. But I don't think they realize that it comes off like criticism that is not constructive. And so when you just start to say, I don't know, you acting like this, you acting like that, you acting like this, you acting like that, now I'm going to start thinking about all the ways that you've acted. Now I'm going to start considering all of your flaws. And I do feel like, are y'all trying to attack me? Because after, like, just watching that exchange, I did feel like that. So yeah, she does feel like she needs to check y'all, because now all of y'all telling her what to do with her grown body that she spent money for. And you know, we also don't know, like, what was the decision making process for her to get to the point where she felt like, I'm actually going to get plastic surgery. Because for someone that's in the public eye, that probably was a difficult decision for her. A lot of those women don't like the idea of just jumping at plastic surgery, or even considering all the risk factors for plastic surgery, whatever it is, you know. She probably had to, like, consider all of that. And I think the other thing that they're missing, and I think a lot of these women miss this all the time, is that you know, all that little catty stuff that y'all see in y'all confessionals, when the season airs, I'm sure that these people, your other co-workers or co-stars, watch these episodes and see what you say in your confessionals. So people start to kind of develop their own personal feelings towards each other, and so they're looking for anything. And I don't really remember what Gizelle was saying about Wendy like that. I don't really feel like she had a whole lot to say, but you know, people will observe people and come to their own conclusions. And so I think that's something that they just kind of have to keep in the forefront. Now, I think that Wendy took Ashley's approach the wrong way. I don't feel like Ashley meant it in a negative manner. I just think that Ashley doing it, being connected to Gizelle, just made it malicious. She's guilty by association at this point. In addition to that, when Wendy and Ashley go back into the room, and Wendy decides to bring up this whole rumor with her husband to everyone. Right. Now, she was clear. You should have came to me as a woman. She also clarified that had Gizelle come to her directly, she probably would not have responded the way that she did. And so I think like, what we have to understand here is that Wendy is the person that's technically on the show. Although her husband makes appearances, you know, it's her thing. And I think sometimes when spouses make the decision to become a public figure on one of these reality TV shows, I do think they become very protective of their spouse that doesn't have such a major role. And they come to their defense, and they don't want anyone, especially people on the show, to discuss them negatively or whatever else. Now, I will say this, on Real Housewives of Atlanta, I feel like a lot of times people were in the blogs about a lot of different things, and they always showed them talking about it either on a phone call or in person, or you see them pulling it up, or you see a text message, or you see something like that. So I guess where I'm a little confused is why Wendy is so upset that people are even discussing the blog. If the blog exists, then they're going to talk about it. And it may not be that they're talking about it negatively, but that they're just discussing it. What I gather, or what I have concluded from the way that Wendy responded, is that she doesn't even want the discussion. It's not even about if it's true or not, because they said, listen, we don't even think it's true, we know it's a lie, blah 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 blah. But I feel like for Wendy, she just kind of feels like, so now you're discussing my husband in a negative light. This then paints a negative picture for my husband. I don't necessarily know what, like, affairs or adultery equates to in their, like, African culture or whatever, but I'm assuming that that might have something to do with it, or maybe even going further to where, like, people probably told her not to even join the show because that's the kind of stuff that will try to tear up marriages, or blah 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 blah, you know, that whole thing. Where I struggle is that Wendy is going to have to understand that they will talk about you. If you are on TV, they will find something to discuss about you, and you just have to be okay with it. I agree with Gizelle when she said, now, if I was trying to go look for the person or whatever else, then that's me kind of being, you know, malicious about it. But I mean, I do just kind of feel like it's petty enough to relate the fact that this lady wants to flaunt her new body that she paid surgery for. I mean, paid money for surgery. That you equate that to the reason she's doing that is because her husband's cheating on her. That's pretty low. But I mean, she is different. I don't even think the way she dresses is that much of an issue. I think it was them saying she lacks substance. Now, I do feel like she's a little bit more risque, and that's fine. You know, like, that's not really a problem. I just think a lot of the disagreements here are all about approach. Now, in addition to that, you know, Robin felt like she needed to, like, ask questions and do all this extra. Sis, you know what Wendy talking about, because Gizelle and I talked to you about it more than one time. So please stop acting like, what are you talking about? Asking all these questions. Really, that wasn't your discussion, because Wendy wasn't even mad at you. Wendy was only really pissed off with Gizelle. So Robin, why are you in this? Why are you angry? And then, like, I don't think she realizes, but you make yourself a target. You see that Wendy is on a rampage already. So yeah, she's going to come at your marriage because she feels like you're attacking hers. It's a tit for tat thing now. They're being real petty. And to be honest with you, like, I get that Wendy feels like she has to defend her family. She is like a lioness right now, honey. No one or nothing is going to come between her family and her and these other folk, okay? But the problem with that is, like, you have to understand that once you start that tit for tat and you start, like, devaluing her husband or disrespecting her marriage, or even with Gizelle, like, I didn't watch, like, every season of Real Housewives of Potomac, so I can't necessarily speak to who Gizelle is beyond, like, last season. But she seems super petty. She seems very dramaful. And so, you know, you gotta kind of, like, watch how you conduct yourself, because if you are not nice and kind to other people, then people will not be nice and kind to you. Now, I can't confirm or deny whether she is reaping everything she sowed in relation to that man cheating on her and all that other stuff. I mean, I do think it's unfortunate that that's happening for her. But I think, like, when you're a woman in that kind of predicament, you need to tread light in relation to addressing other women and their relationships with the man. And I think that's where this gets deeper. You really don't have no right to come to me talk about my man when your man was doing all kind of crazy stuff on TV, and you didn't want to have no conversations about it, and still don't want to have any conversations about it in the presence of certain people, and you think it's fine for you to discuss my relationship with other people. Let me tell y'all something right now. Get real close. I don't care who you are. I don't even care where I know you from. Don't come to me telling me somebody else tell you something about a rumor about OC, my husband. Wrong idea. What you should do is come to me woman to woman. If you heard it, and if you're really concerned about me and my well-being and my emotional state and all that stuff, come to me. You grown enough to discuss me, come discuss it with me, sis. Yeah. Now, I feel Wendy on that part. Now, don't play up with me and don't play up with my man. Okay. I'm done. Now, I feel like the whole Candace and Ashley in the kitchen, and Candace, why would you even bring that up? Y'all know that was just an invitation for Candace to be mean and nasty to Ashley, because she don't like Ashley in general. And I thought that was pretty childish and very unnecessary, to say the least. Now, let's get into the last thing, which was the previews for the next episode, where Mia, Wendy, and I think that was Karen, we're all in the car going somewhere. And then whenever they get there, Wendy asked a question about somebody calling her a weak B word. And Gizelle said, I didn't say that. Mia said, yes, you did. And she was like, you too? Baby. Okay. Reality TV 101. There's one or two things here. You either trying to keep your spot or end up on a lot of people's bad side in general. Because here's the reality of it. My mama told me a long time ago, dog bring bone, dog carry bone. So Wendy and Karen got to be careful about a few things, because just like Mia told them what Gizelle said, baby, if you don't think Mia gonna tell her. And so what I will say is, Mia appears to be a truth fighter. She always wants people to tell the truth. I respect that. However, I don't feel like you need to be a part of all these different conversations, because now I'm going to start to question your loyalty. Because see, you kind of look like a mutual party. Well, no, you don't look like. You are a mutual party in both circumstances. However, you starting to look like the middleman that's stirring up drama for no reason. You know them people that just always taking back and forth stuff and mess. And you know, sometimes even when you are having a disagreement with somebody, you really don't need to hear everything, because you're on edge and you just need one word. You just need them to say one word about you, and now you ready for war. That's unnecessary. Yet again, this is another episode where these old women need to get a life and need to find something else outside of drama to fuel the excitement. Now, I know that drama is what gets ratings. I know that drama is what pays the bills. But, honey, after this episode, I'm exhausted. I was so confused. I didn't know whether I should choose a side, stay neutral. It was just a lot of moments where I started to feel like, wait a minute, what's happening right now? And maybe that's what they want. It just seemed like uphill, downhill. Just when I thought things was getting better, it was getting worse, child. I ain't got time. Okay? But thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode review. Make sure you watch these videos here and tune in for another episode. Thanks so much for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Bye, y'all.